What's up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast weekly real estate tip. And today I'm going to break down how to get motivated buyer and seller clients in your real estate business here in 2025. It's one of the most common questions that I'm getting right now is, Josh, man, I'm doing all this lead gen, all this lead fall, but nobody seems to be motivated. Nobody has any urgency. Like, how do I get motivated people that have that urgency? So that's what I'm going to walk you through here today. Look, the market has changed dramatically. You got transaction volume down nationwide, almost half. Like nationwide, it's down about 40% from the previous decade norms. So you got almost half the people that are able or willing to transact in this current marketplace. And why is that? We're in the most unaffordable time to be alive as a U.S. citizen. In United States recorded history, at no point in time has it been more unaffordable than it is right now. So many in our industry just think it's, oh, well, because of high prices in real estate, high interest rates. That's a part of the equation, but it's just the rest of life. Look at all of life. Like everything, like dude, just fast food now costs an absurd, just an insane amount. Like everything in life has just gotten so insanely out of control. This is why when people come to me like, oh, as soon as interest rates get down to 5%, all these buyers are going to come out. I'm like, maybe I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm not holding my breath on that just because you remove real estate from it. Life is just so insanely unaffordable, but this is the climate that we are in. So it becomes really, really essential that we pivot, shift, and adapt because there's no reason why your real estate business should be down. There's no reason why you shouldn't be, going out there and closing an abundance amount of buyers, abundance amount of sellers, but you got to shift your focus. You got to pivot and adapt and shift who you're targeting, who you're focusing. And this is going to be an important skill that you're going to need to know how to do for the rest of your career because you're going to experience a lot of different markets. If you're in this game for a long enough period of time, you're going to experience buyer markets, seller markets, booms, busts, neutral markets, anything in between. Real estate's always trade hands, always has, always will. It's your job. It's our job as real estate professionals to identify, okay, whom the market is good for, who's buying, who's selling, why they're buying, why they're selling, where they're coming from, where they're going, pivot, shift, adapt accordingly. And our real estate businesses can continue to grow. We can continue hitting our goals and hitting our, financial goals that we have inside of a real estate business. Now, one of the most important things that you can ever learn in sales is this, and this is just how human behavior works, is sales is all about pain and pleasure. Right? So people are experiencing pain with their current living situation. So I'm going to make this specific to real estate because that's what we're here to talk about. Right? So they're experiencing pain with their current living situation. They want out of that pain. They want to get to pleasure. Now, here's the thing that you need to understand in sales and just human behavior in general. If the pain of the status quo does not outweigh the pain of the change, people will stay put. Right? So we need to identify people, though, that the pain of the status quo outweighs the pain of the change. Those are the people that have the urgency to go out there and make the move, right? So this is why there's a lot of people that want to go out there and sell their home. They're kind of maybe tired of their current home, tired of their neighborhood. They want to go out there and sell, but they're like, man, the pain of paying today's prices, today's interest rates is more painful than just staying put and tolerating what we have. So we'll just deal with the pain that we have and tolerating what we have because the pain of moving outweighs the pain of change. So we need to, again, identify those that have the most pain with their current situation, right? Where that pain outweighs the pain of the change. That's what creates that urgency. That's what creates those motivated buyers and sellers, which I'm going to unpack and break down today. So we need to be able to identify those that need to buy and sell versus want to buy and sell. And this is also for those of you that are maybe team leaders or brokerage owners that are also in addition work with buyers and sellers that go out there and recruiting agents. This is the same thing in recruiting agents. Yeah, right. Okay, so real quick though, before I jump into that, if you are a real estate agent, you are a real estate team leader, you are a real estate brokerage owner, and you are interested in learning more about a potential possible partnership with me at EXP, where you get 100% full free access to all my coaching, all my training, all my mentorship, as well as my business partner, Mike Sherrard, who's hands down the best in the industry at social media, YouTube, and AI, where you can get full access again to all of our coaching, training, mentorship for you, for all of your agents at no additional cost. I'm not talking about us teaming up and being a team together. We're not taking any splits. You get all this for free. We're just an additional support system to help ensure that you crush your real estate goals. If you want to learn more about what a partnership could look like, below, regardless of where you're watching or listening, so in the show notes or the description is going to be a link where you can schedule a quick 30-minute Zoom call with me personally. It's 100% confidential. Also 100% zero pressure. And by zero pressure, I mean, look, I'm not going to try to recruit you. I'm not going to push you, pressure you, hard sell you, none of that BS. I'm just going to walk you through, hey, here's everything that we're doing. Here's what we have. Here's what we offer. Here's all the different ways that we believe, or I believe that we can, help ensure that you're crushing your real estate goals and can support you, answer any questions that you have. And look, at the end of that call, if you think that this is a better overall fit, to help you accomplish your goals, great. And if not, that's okay too. We can still be friends. You have my word on that. I just think it's well worth your time to just jump on a quick 30-minute Zoom call with me and just see if this might be a possible fit for you. Okay, so let's jump back into, again, how do we identify buyers and sellers that have urgency, that need to make a move in this market? So if you watch and listen to this podcast for a long time, you hear me talk about what I call strategic offense. So we got to pivot into strategic offense. Then I'm going to break down seller strategies, examples, buyer strategy examples, so you have a deep understanding of how to do this. So by strategic offense, what do I mean by this? And one of the biggest reasons that I'm seeing people struggle, there's two primary reasons why I'm seeing real estate agents struggle in this market, real estate agents, team leaders, broker owners, is number one, they're still just winging it in their business, right? They're not treating their business as a business. This is a time where those that are winging it are going to continue getting crushed. You got to treat your business as a business. You got to be a great operator, meaning that you got to have your strategy plan in place. You got to be tracking your numbers. You got to know what you got to do to win to every single day. You got to have processes, systems. Like, you got to be a great operator. Those that aren't great operators right now are going to continue getting crushed. You got to get your crap together. You're a business owner. That just real estate happens to be the vehicle that you're running and operating your business in. Got to be a responsible business owner here in this time. Then number two is they're still playing defense. They haven't shifted yet to playing strategic offense. So they're still just playing defense, waiting for crap to come to them. By strategic offense, I mean this. It's twofold, right? Strategic meaning, okay, we got to identify, which is what we're here to talk about today, identify those that have the highest probability of needing our services in this given market. Then by offense, I mean we are going after them. We're not waiting for anything to come and land in our lap in this climate. There's times of peace and times of war in business. We just got out of a decade of peace where you could kind of show up, kind of work, kind of be consistent. You could just wing it, make multiple six figures. Those days are gone. Right now, we got to pay offense. We got to hunt. We got to go after it. We can't wait for anything to come to us. So we got to target the right people. And then we have to have things that we are going after them that are in our control, where our fate's in our own hands. So today, though, we're here to talk about, okay, how do we play, that strategic portion of the offense, right? So, okay, let's talk about sellers. Now, first, let's talk about, why do people buy and sell? And I'm not talking about investors here. I'm just talking about, regular people. Like, why do they go out there and buy and sell? Okay. They get to that point where they get married, right? Or buy their first home. And there's other reasons too. I'm just kind of using a very generalistic, path here. But, they get married, move into their first home. Then they have a couple kids living in that home. They start to outgrow that home. They move into their next home, right? Then maybe they have another, kid or two, maybe so, maybe not. But now they're in kind of, those peak income earning years. There's an ego component. They want to pull into a house that they're proud of. They want to show off to their friends, their family, kind of show to themselves that they made it. So then they buy that next, kind of last move up buy, of their life. Now their kids, they finish raising their kids go off to college, get moved out. Now they're empty nesters. So they sell that home, they outgrow that, or that home gets too large for them. So they'll sell that home, then kind of move into their forever home, if you will. They're living that next, home that they downsize into until they can no longer take care of themselves, take care of the property, sell that, move into assisted living, or move into family, with family, right? And then from there, so it's really life situation changes. Then from there, we got detours along the way. You got relocation, you got foreclosure, you got divorce, you got bankruptcy, right? So we got these kind of detours. So when we are trying to identify people with urgency, it's really catching them within these detours. So let's just look at sellers. Okay, sellers, we got expireds, we got for sale by owners. Now, we don't necessarily know exactly what their reason is for wanting to sell, but we know they raised their hand. These are low-hanging fruit, great source in this industry, very competitive, but that's okay because most real estate agents suck at skill set, strategy, and process. So it's very easy to go out there and stand out, with this. If you have the right strategy and if you have the right process with this. So, okay, we got expires, we got FSBOs, but again, when I talk about playing strategic offense, it's really niching down to those, again, that have the highest probability of needing our services in this market. So FSBOs and expires, they've already raised their hands, right? Then from there, okay, people going through divorce. Now, if you look at this time that we're in right now, most unaffordable time to be alive as a U.S. citizen. What's the number one reason for divorce? Financial hardship. So people are experiencing the most difficult time financially. If you look at the average American right now, they're experiencing the most difficult time financially that they've ever experienced in our adult lives. Yeah, right? So foreclosure on the rise, right? So the probability of them needing to sell to split that asset and split the proceeds of that asset as they go through this new life transition change, right, is very high. So you got divorces. You got people that are 30 plus days later on their mortgage. These are starting to skyrocket and go up and up and up. every single month because, again, most unaffordable time to be alive as a U.S. citizen. Maybe they have a great interest rate, but every time they go to the grocery store, buy food. And just because you have a great interest rate, I mean, look at the way, I was talking with somebody the other day, and a real estate agent. I believe I can't remember the state that she's in, but somewhere down south. But dude, like insurances went up over 10x over the last several years in their market. So just because you're in a 30-day, you're locked in a 30-year interest rate, like your payments can still go up every single year because of taxes, because of insurance, because of other reasons, right? So 30-day lates, right? These are people that if they don't figure something out, whether it's a loan mod, which some might apply for that, but a lot won't, right? Or they got to sell their property. And a lot of these, one of the differences that I'm seeing right now, with 30-day lates versus what I saw in like 2007, 2008, 2009 is back then, most of those were short sales. Now, do we have some of these that are short sales, people that bought like in 2021, 2022 that need to sell and offload now because they're missing their payments? Yeah. But the vast majority, more often than not, they have equity. They can no longer just hang on. Yeah, right. So you got your 30-day plus late. Again, we're talking about things with, sellers that need to sell, right? Probates. They have a death in the family, again, with all these extra costs, living expenses and cap rate compressions so rents are starting to come down, the headaches of that. Okay, probably them needing to offload and unload that property, as their family, as they, inherit this property from unfortunately losing a loved one, very high. Absentee owners, not in all markets, but in some markets like my market, Florida absentee owners are crushing it. Texas absentee owners are crushing it. California absentee owners are crushing it, where we're experiencing cap rate compressions for the first time in a long time, meaning rents are coming down. Prices are coming down fast. Rents are coming down fast, but hold costs are going up with taxes, insurance, HOAs, in some case, cost of deferred maintenance. So if they want to sell at or close to peak pricing, opportune time to do so. Now, absentee owners, that just means that they own this unit, but they don't reside in there as a primary residence. You're going to have, short-term vacation rental owners. You're going to have long-term buy and hold investors. Then you might have snowbirds. But even with snowbirds, okay, they're on a fixed income and cost of life going up and up and up, right? So a lot of these snowbirds, not I'm not saying all of them, but a decent percentage of them, a large enough percentage of them, getting that point where maybe they gotta decide on, hey, instead of living, having two homes where we split our time, we got to have one home base, right, and live there year round because of the cost of expenses. So that's an example of, okay, going after sellers that have more urgency. Now, if we go after buyers, again, like I talked about, life events, so reloads, right? Those that are relocating to your area, we're having a lot of success. Now, I'm in more of a reload market, so if you're in a reload market, like whether it be YouTube, whether it be Facebook ads, we're having big success with reloads. Now, when it comes to reloads, what I'm trying to really target is the states. So I know the top 10 states in the city, the cities, the metros within those states that we have the highest reload count. But then I'm looking at really, okay, who is my market to win for? Yeah, right. So let's just say I got reloads coming from San Francisco, Bay Area, California, where they're selling a 100-year-old house. That's 1,300 square feet, 3 bed, 2 bath, or 1.5 million. They're selling that, coming out here, buying what feels like a mansion to them, brand new, beautiful home, gated community for 800 grand. To them, they're like, I cannot believe this is a reality for us. So I'm not just targeting reloads, but I'm targeting those reloads where they're like, holy crap, I can't believe, like they're massively able to step up their lifestyle from a financial perspective. They're like reducing their financials, but massively leveling up quality of life. So you got downsizers, those that are going to, that are empty nesters, downsizers, right? That, need to, downsize, obvious reasons that we talked about already, but, saving that money, saving, utility costs, tax costs, all of that stuff, just that maintenance of that big home, right? Move up buyers. Now I'm talking about move up buyers. Okay. Like what I'm really targeting right now with move up buyers, because it's not just people that have, because remember I was talking about, you know, um, when people are buying and selling, it's usually a life event change. So these move up buyers, like I'm really targeting price points, neighborhoods, and types of properties where I know people can financially afford this market. So, like for example, for me in my market, I'm really targeting that kind of 600,000 to 1.2 million dollar price point. We got 40 to 55-year-old married couples buying that last move up buy of their lifetime. Now I'm speaking to my market. Your market might be different. Just giving examples here. So they're making that last move up buy of their lifetime. They typically have kids, still in junior high school. They're making 200 plus $1,000 a year household income so they can afford it. They've been living in a property for the last 7, 10 plus years. They got plenty of equity and to sell for down payment. Also, transitions and then a lot of times two transactions if they're local for us, really targeting them. So I'm like when I'm doing my open houses, right? I'm targeting in the zip codes in the most desired neighborhoods. Well, on the type of properties, like I know in my market they want 2,500 plus square feet, 4+ bedroom, 2.5+ plus bathroom, sparkling swimming pool, beautiful backyard, 3-car garage. They want deferred maintenance. So I'm gonna go do my open houses, or I'm running Facebook ads or whatever. I'm very, very targeted and very, very specific with the types of properties that I know that my buyers are interested in, that ideal buyer client wants. Now, one of the weird things about this current correction that we're seeing, versus like historic adjustments that we've seen in the real estate market. Now, historically, if you look at, market, kind of shifts or declines, historically, it's kind of started off with the luxury market. Like the luxury market kind of starts first and leads the way, and then it trickles down, right? In most markets right now, not all, but most markets, luxury is staying really strong. And why? Because, when I say we're in the most unaffordable time as a US citizen, right, we're seeing the wipeout of the middle class, right? So it's becoming the haves and have nots. So either people are getting richer or people are getting poor. There's no more middle ground, right? So we're seeing just the gutting of the middle class. So if you look at like the zip codes in my market that aren't getting hit hard, it's like the middle class, zip codes in markets that are just getting torn apart and getting crushed. All the luxury stuff is staying super strong, sometimes still multiple offers, still, right? Because again, people are either getting richer or they're getting poorer in these times. So like the middle class is what's getting wiped out. So it's, the haves and the have-nots is what we're seeing right now before our eyes, and have for a lot of years now. It's been transitioning to this. I had a mentor of mine tell me years and years and years ago that, Josh, like we're in our lifetimes, we're going to see the gutting of the middle class. There's no need for it anymore. It's born during the Industrial Revolution. Now we're going to deindustrialization as a globe. We're going to the information age, the tech age. There's not going to be any needs for this. I didn't know we were going to see it this fast. Right. I didn't think he was full of shit. I believed him. I just didn't know I just didn't expect to see it this quickly, in our lifetimes. But that's what we're seeing, right? So then it's about, again, identifying, okay, those that have the highest probability of needing our services, and just assess your market, like who's buying, who's selling, why they're buying, why they're selling, where they're coming from, where they're going, and really target down and niche down. I'm having a conversation with a buddy of mine not too long ago. I was doing a bunch of direct mail. And he's like, look, the direct mail used to hit really hard for me, used to get a great ROI. He goes, now, dude, I don't get any ROI. Essentially, like the money that I'm making is just covering the costs. I'm just trading dollars. I'm not making any money. And I said, okay, well, who, like those that are selling in your market, like who's selling? He's like, they're either relocating out of state, they're downsizing to move into assisted living, or they're getting divorced. I'm like, okay, those are your three seller niches, man. Like right now, you're just shotgunning stuff out there. And I'm not saying if you want to continue that for long term, because those might come back if you have an established market share in those. Okay, if you want to keep doing that, you're not losing money. But that would be my main target in this market. I'm like, I'd be targeting, one of those niches, if not all three of those niches, those that are, selling to move to assisted living, those going through divorce, and those relocating out of your market. Like those are people that need to sell, that are wanting to sell, that are currently actively selling in your market. That we got to niche down again to, those actively needing to buy and sell. So this is when I talk about strategic offense. Okay, who has the highest probability of needing your service in your market? Then from there, okay, we want to, and that's not what this podcast is about, but I just want to make sure I'm adding this point in there with your strategies that you're deploying. I recommend that you do strategies where your fate is in your own control. So let's just say divorce is an example. When I talk about divorces as being a niche, a lot of people reach out to me saying, well, how do you go after divorces? Like, do you get in with divorce attorneys? And for me, it's a no. I'm not saying to not do that. I'm not saying that's not a, good business strategy over time. But to me, that would be kind of like a side hustle thing, right? Like that is me now playing defense, waiting for these attorneys to send me business. No, I'm going to go get their data. I'm going to reach out to them directly. I'm going to do activities where my fate is in my own hands, where it's like, hey, I do X amount of dials, have X amount of conversations. It's going to result into X amount of closings. Or I do, get X amount of Facebook leads, or do X amount of open houses, where things that I can control, that are my fate is in my own hand. So I'm targeting the right people with the right actions in the right ways. And that's how we go out there and control our business and continue to grow or scale our business in this crazy time that we are amongst. So hopefully this is helpful. Again, if you are a real estate agent, I don't care what level that you're at, brand new or seasoned, team leader, broker owner, look, I am looking for amazing agent partners from all over. And at EXP, we're not just in the US, we're 27 countries. So any territory area that we're in, look, I am looking for badass, amazing partners to partner with at EXP, where I can coach, help, mentor you, support you, your agents, as well as my business partner, Mike Sherrard, who's the best in the industry at social media, YouTube, AI, where you get 100% full free access to all of our coaching, all of our mentorship, all of our support for free at no additional cost. Just how EXP's model works. Where we can have a conversation about what this partnership can look like. And if that's something that you're interested in, below in the show notes or the description is going to be a link. And on that link, if you schedule that 30-minute Zoom call with me, you got two promises to you. Number one, it's 100% confidential, so nobody will ever know about the call because I understand the importance of that. Number two, I've got a very strict no pressure policy. You're not going to be recruited. Look, I'm not here to try to beg you, recruit you, push you, pressure you, none of that BS. I'm just going to walk you through, hey, here's what we have. Here's how we work. Here's how we operate. Here's all the tools, resources that we provide. Here's all the different ways that I believe that we can help you ensure that you are accomplishing your real estate goals and making your goals a reality. Answer any questions that you have. And look, at the end of that call, if you think that this is a fit for you, awesome. If not, that is okay too. Like I said, everything I do is zero pressure. You will never get any element of pressure for me. I just truly believe it's well worth your time to jump on a quick 30-minute Zoom call with me, see what we got going on, see if it's a fit for you. Great. And like I said, if it's not, that is okay too. So there's a link below to go out there and schedule. That's going to be with you and I, a quick 30-minute Zoom call where we can jam out about this. All right, guys, hopefully that this was helpful. Keep crushing it, keep kicking ass, and I will see you next time. Peace.